Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Hail Victory YouTube show. This is part 2 of the Crimson Glory saga. The band from one of the best kept secrets of uh, power metal, prog power metal. Band never got anywhere near as much recognition as they should have. On the last video, I talked about the midnight era of Crimson Glory. In this video, I'll be discussing the Astronomica album from 1999, followed by the most recent album that just came out this year. But yeah, this was the Astronomica album released in 1999. It's a different type of album than the first two, which I had mentioned, but it's good for what it is. And it is way, way better than Strange and Beautiful. It opens with an intro and goes on to War of the Worlds, and then we got songs like the title track, Astronomica, and Edge of Forever, and Touch the Sun, and The Other Side of Midnight, which is part 2 of Lost Reflection from the self-titled album. Very similar structurally to that song, and has to do with the lyrical theme of that song overall. I think it's a continuation of that. And there is some filler on this album, like New World Machine I was not a fan of, and Cyber Christ was kind of lame, but on the whole, I really can't complain. It's a pretty solid album. I didn't like it when I first heard it, because it is different than the first two, but it has more in common with the first two than Strange and Beautiful did. Unfortunately, after this album, they would not do anything for 27 years. They did have a few attempts at reunions over the years. They would reunite for a brief period in 2006 with Midnight returning to the vocalist position, and they never released anything, unfortunately. He would get a DWI in January of 2007, and they kind of went on hiatus for a few years. They would get the now Queensryche vocalist Todd LaTorre in 2010, but they never really did anything. And they would once again go on hiatus, and they recently reformed, and we got a new guitarist. John Drenning left the band, unfortunately, it sucks, because I kind of feel like he was for Crimson Glory what Chris DeGarmo was for Queensryche. He kind of was the secret weapon in many ways. And they would release this new album, Chasing the Hydra, and I would say on the whole, I've heard it a few times now, and my final analysis is it follows in a similar trajectory to Astronomica. It's a good album. Some good songs on here. Red in the Sun, the title track, Chasing the Hydra, and Angel in My Nightmare is a song I find myself going back to, as well as Beyond the Unknown, and Armor Against Fate, and the album closer, Triskaideka. But yeah, on the whole, like I said, it follows in the vein of Astronomica, and perhaps it tends to lean more into the prog side of their sound. But it does attempt to go back to that sound of the first two albums. The one minor complaint that I have is the production. It's very compressed sounding. It's very polished. I do kind of wish it had a more raw, gritty production like the first two did, but I know the band probably wanted it to sound as polished as possible. I could see them being into that kind of production. but like I said, it's a minor complaint. I'm just glad to finally get a new Crimson Glory album after 27 years, or, well, 20 years. I think I've been waiting for this new album for like 20 years now. I thought there would be a new album back in '06 when they'd reunited with Midnight, but that was never meant to be because of his untimely passing in '09. And then, we never did get the album with Todd La Torre because he joined Queensryche, but at least we have this album. It's better than nothing. I'll take it. And like I said, it's got some good songs. I do hope they'll release more, and that, we don't have to wait another 20 years for a new album. Hopefully they do a new album in 2 years or 3 years, or, somewhat sooner than later. But yeah, that about does it. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.